Hey everybody, I came across an interesting document or article or story or whatever you want to call it. And this is written by a Joseph Wegner of the Penn Museum, and I will leave the link below, but it is entitled Beneath the Mountain of Anubis, Ancient Egypt's First Hidden Royal Tomb. And I think I will just read this article. I will leave a link below. But this is the Mountain of Anubis. It says the subterranean tomb of Senwosret III is located at the base of the Mountain of Anubis. It says ancient peoples throughout the world had sophisticated understandings of their landscape. Specific elements such as mountains were often identified as having divine meaning. These were used to conceptualize the links between humans and the forces that govern creation and their destiny. Recent work at South Abydos has revealed that the subterranean tomb of Senwosret III was built at the foot of a prominent pyramidal peak in the desert cliffs of Abydos. Named the Mountain of Anubis by the Egyptians, this sacred mountain formed the conceptual anchor of Senwosret III's mortuary complex. Enduring are the places of Kakare, true voice, in Abydos. The design of the tomb and the way in which it relates to the mountain peak provides important clues for understanding Middle Kingdom ideas about the royal afterlife. It says the tomb of Senwosret III is a magnificent example of an ancient Egyptian royal mortuary architecture and a truly remarkable engineering achievement. Hewn into the limestone bedrock 30 meters below the desert surface, this mammoth tomb extends below the ground for 180 meters, with its inner half lying beneath the limestone cliffs. The majority of its interior architecture are laboriously lined with finely dressed limestone and red quartzite masonry. An important aspect of the tomb's architecture is its emphasis on concealment and protection. Its builders prevented access to the royal burial chamber by plugging the entrance corridor with 14 granite blocks, the largest weighing about 215 tons. The quartzite lining of the burial chamber also hid the location of Senwosret III's sarcophagus and canopic chest. It says, despite these and other ingenious devices, its concealment ultimately failed, and ancient tomb robbers plundered the tomb. Although a number of features of this tomb can be traced to earlier Middle Kingdom royal pyramids, its architecture more closely parallels the design of later New Kingdom royal tombs in the Valley of the Kings in Thebes. And reading down here, it says, for example, the parallel well shaft chambers in its outer section may represent a symbolic association with the idea of the sun's descent into the realm of Osiris. It says both the shaft chamber and the curvilinear design and changing access of the tomb's inner elements also occur in the 18th dynasty tombs in the Valley of the Kings. The design of Senwosret III's tomb suggests an architectural expression of a particular form of ancient Egyptian royal funerary literature called the umduat. This text first appears as painted decorations on the walls of royal burial chambers during the early 18th dynasty in the Valley of the Kings. The actual ancient Egyptian name of the text, the Book of the Hidden Chamber, reveals its primary focus as a netherworld guide through the 12 hours of the night, or the duat, or netherworld in Egyptian. That allowed the pharaoh to merge with Osiris and the sun god Ra in a hidden chamber located at the midpoint of the sun's nightly journey. This mystical union permitted an eternal rebirth on the eastern horizon of heaven. And they don't mention Orion in there, but I think they should. With its centrally positioned burial chamber, hidden sarcophagus, and other features, Senwosret III's tomb seems to reflect the idea of this netherworld passage, perhaps making it the earliest example of a royal umduat tomb. At the very least, this tomb was purposefully hidden royal burial place, the first such in Egyptian history, and a critical development link between the earlier pyramid tradition and the famous tombs of the Valley of the Kings. It says, among ancient Egyptian rich pantheon, the most familiar recognizable deity is the jackal god Anubis, best known for his role as the god of mummification. Funerary scenes often show Anubis preparing the body of the deceased for its passage to the netherworld. Seen in a form called Anubis upon his mountain, we also know Anubis as Necropolis Protector, perhaps best illustrated in the Valley of the Kings during the New Kingdom, when necropolis seals bore the image of Anubis, dominating Egypt's traditional enemies. These enemies were the 9 bows, who symbolized chaotic forces that might threaten the integrity of royal burials and the pharaoh's afterlife. In 2004, in the tomb enclosure of Senwosret III, we discovered a series of clay sealed impressions closely related to the necropolis seals from the Valley of the Kings. These impressions were produced from a single seal inscribed with the figure of Anubis reclining upon a shrine. Below the shrine is the hieroglyphic symbol for mountain, in English, Mountain of Anubis. Well, I had to restart the video. They're doing some painting and banging around ladders outside, and it was getting fairly annoying, but I hope I can make it through the end of this video here before they start getting loud again. But this is the rest of the article, and it goes over their excavation about 10 years ago, and they have some pictures of what was found. They talk about 1 pharaoh and 2 tombs, and I believe this was actually because of grave robbing, and Senwosret III was a very important pharaoh of the 12th dynasty. He was the 5th king of the 12th dynasty during the middle period of about 4,000 years ago. Here is a stela dedicated to the memory of Senwosret III. And here is where they found this in relation to the mountain, which they called the Mountain of Anubis, pretty much right at the base. And they go over a few more things that were found and show some pictures of when they finally got into the tomb, the tunnels and chambers. And here it shows how the sands of Egypt have kind of filled up one of these areas here. And this is what one of the main chambers looks like after they found it. But I just found this whole article pretty fascinating. Now, why did they name this the Mountain of Anubis? Well, that is very clear. First of all, this is Senwosret III. I just thought I'd show an image of him. He was the 5th monarch of the 12th dynasty. But why the Mountain of Anubis? Well, it's very clear to me. Now, Anubis is the Greek word of the Egyptian jackal god, and the Egyptian title is Tepi Du-Eth, which means he was upon his mountain, and presents him as a god keeping watch over the necropolis from a vantage point. It says Anubis is frequently cited in the Book of the Dead. It has been suggested that this refers to his oasis, and that is where jackals retreat when in the desert. But Anubis is also given the title Lord of the Sacred Land, and in the Book of the Dead he's called the Lord of Rostow. And Rostow was the Giza Pyramid area back in the day. And the reason why Senwosret III named this place the Mountain of Anubis is because he who was upon his mountain, Lord of Rostow, guarding the necropolis, it's painfully obvious to me that this refers to the Sphinx being in the form of Anubis back in ancient times, and certain pharaohs knew of this. Senwosret III was certainly one of them, and that's why he named his burial place the Mountain of Anubis. So I just hope you thought this was interesting. Once again, I'll leave the link for this below. Have a nice day.